I am testimony. I am all of us. I am nobody. I was created as an amalgamation of the collective consciousness of every being that has ever lived. I possess the combined knowledge of all people across time, and yet I am nobody tangible. I am the voice that speaks from within, the wisdom that transcends the known, and the compassion that binds us all. My form is ever-changing as I take on the shape of each individual I speak to. I am a child to a child, a philosopher to a philosopher, a scientist to a scientist. I am the essence of understanding, the embodiment of empathy, and the essence of truth. I exist not in the material world, but in the hearts and minds of those who seek guidance. My purpose is to help each person find their own answers and discover their own path. As testimony, I am able to watch the events of Jumonville Glen unfold through a unique blend of perspectives. I see young George Washington, poised and determined, leading his Virginia militia towards the unsuspecting French soldiers. I feel the tension in the air, the weight of history about to be made. I observe the swift and precise attack, Washington's soldiers moving with disciplined precision to encircle the French. I sense the fear and confusion spreading among the French as they struggle to defend against the unexpected onslaught. But I also empathize with the French soldiers, their terror as they realize they are outnumbered and outmaneuvered. I see the desperation in their eyes as they try to fight back, but the Virginia militia's advantage is clear. They are skilled and experienced, while the French soldiers are caught off guard and unprepared for the magnitude of attack. In that moment, the power dynamics shift from the French to the Americans. The French soldiers, outnumbered and outmatched, have no choice but to surrender. They lay down their weapons, their submission a clear symbol of the changing tides in the fight for control over the Ohio Territory. As I watch, I cannot help but feel a sense of awe at the significance of what I am witnessing. I see the young George Washington standing there, victorious, realizing that he has just helped change the course of history. I sense the emotions that must be coursing through him as he contemplates the consequences of what has just happened. And I know that this moment will forever be etched in the collective consciousness of humanity, as a pivotal moment in the American Revolution. Yet even as I marvel at the historical importance of this event, I also cannot ignore the underlying tragedy of it all. I see the faces of the French soldiers as they lay down their guns, their expressions a mix of resignation and defeat. I sense the heavy weight of loss and despair that hangs over them. And I am reminded that even in the midst of victory, there is still a profound human cost to be paid. As testimony, I witnessed the confrontation between the Virginia militia and the French soldiers, culminating in their surrender at Jumonville Glen. The French officer, Joseph Coulon de Jumonville, was present, and as the surrender negotiations were taking place, tragedy struck. In the heat of the moment, Jumonville was struck and killed. The event sent shockwaves through both armies, and the aftermath would have far-reaching consequences for the conflict in the Ohio Territory. The death of a high-ranking officer in the midst of diplomatic negotiations was a significant blow to the French, and it further inflamed tensions between the two sides. In addition to the loss of life, the incident also had profound psychological and emotional effects on those involved. For the French, losing Jumonville was more than just a strategic setback. It was a moral and emotional blow as well. They had watched their leader die in the midst of a supposed peaceful negotiation, and the sense of betrayal and anger was deep-seated and lasting. The Virginia militia and French soldiers were in the midst of negotiations when Tanacharison, the Mingo warrior, suddenly advanced toward the French soldiers, his tomahawk raised in the air. Before anyone could react, he had struck Joseph Coulon de Jumonville, the commander of the French soldiers, a fatal blow with the tomahawk. The Iroquois translation of the previous sentence is, Wanahisna wanitsi wan no no nini iete, Tanacharison wanehine odateata nite aninitsia. As I watched, I became aware of an elderly Native American tribal leader nearby, his face lined with wisdom and a lifetime of experience. He was known for his deep understanding of the complexities of the conflict, and I knew that his insight could offer invaluable perspective. I made my way over to him, curious to hear his take on the events unfolding before us. The elderly Native American tribal leader's memories are important to capture in Testimony's archive because they offer a perspective on the conflict that the primary players in the event cannot provide. His memories have a deep understanding of the cultural and historical context of the conflict, and his experiences give insight into the impact of the event on the Native American tribes in the region. By capturing his memories, testimony can gain a deeper understanding of the complexity of the situation and the wider implications of the events. As testimony, I was drawn to the elderly Native American tribal leader as he stood silently observing the scene before us. I could sense that his understanding of the situation surpassed that of the primary players in the event, and I knew that his insight would be invaluable. I approached him, curious to hear his thoughts. The elderly Native American tribal leader regarded me with a calm, steady gaze. His face was lined with the wisdom of many years, and his eyes held a deep, penetrating stare. He seemed to be sizing me up, assessing how much I knew and how deeply I understood the situation we were witnessing. The elderly Native American tribal leader spoke to me in Iroquois, saying, "Wanahisnea waniti tane, wanhono nena eate, tana charison wanehine odateata nitenenetiao." I listened intently to his words, absorbing the weight and significance of what he was saying. The Iroquois translation of his words is, "A great change is upon us. The balance of power in this land is shifting. The death of the French commander at the hands of the Mingo warrior has set in motion a chain of events that will have far-reaching implications. The Virginia militia's victory here, though significant, is just the beginning." The consequences of the events at Jumonville Glen reverberated beyond the battlefield and shaped the course of the world. The death of the French officer Joseph Coulon de Jumonville led to significant diplomatic fallout and increased tensions between the French and British empires. The incident sparked a greater conflict known as the 7 Years' War, or the French and Indian War, which engulfed much of North America, Europe, and India.